And action. This is me filming for the first time with my new tripod, so I'm still figuring out all of the, all the buttons and all the levers and whatever they're called to kind of get the right angle. I don't think it's too much of a concern for a video like this, but still. This is the first update video that I will film in, I guess, over a year, so bear with me. I'm gonna do my best here, but I'm not really gonna pressure myself into, providing excellent reviews on these things. I'm just gonna kind of share the things that I've picked up over the past year, stuff that I've been watching, and I plan on maybe going for half an hour, maybe. And then after that, we'll see how much I have been able to get through. But I'm gonna try to keep this unedited, actually, because I have so many videos, so many files and stuff currently in the works, and I just wanna, if I can save, well, if I can avoid having to edit certain videos now and then I will happily do. I will take that opportunity. So if I can get through this without having to edit it, I would be happy about that. So then I can just upload it. So, if I'm stumbling or whatever with my words, then please bear with me. But I'm going to start light here with a brilliant comedy show called Nathan for You. So I would have seen this for the first time probably around 2017, 2018. I found this somewhere online, and I've been loving it so much over the years. I've rewatched clips and stuff, and I've thought about it, and I've recommended it, and just always been one of those shows that I've thought to myself that it's one of those shows that there's nothing quite like it, and I genuinely can't think of anything. Like if people ask for shows similar to Nathan for You, they're gonna get stuff like How To with John Wilson, which is brilliant, and part of the reason why people might recommend that is because Nathan Fielder, he is a producer of that show. But it's really nothing like this, and other shows that people throw around, they're nothing like this either. Like what is it, Review with what's his name? Oh, I forget his name. And then there's this one, Joe Pera Talks With You, which I've been struggling to get into. I think that's nothing like this show personally, but people like recommending these shows when people ask for Nathan for You recommendations. And in my mind, like there's nothing like this one. Even his next show, the Rehearsal for HBO, was it? Well, that's where I saw it. Even that show is not particularly similar to this, and even then, it's like you can clearly tell that it's the same guy behind it. I don't know. This is just something completely unique. So I had to buy the DVD set, and I had to watch them again. And I was kind of anxious when I was watching these, but they helped me for a few nights, kept me company, and I just absolutely love this show, and I'm happy to have the DVD. I don't usually buy TV shows on DVD or on Blu-ray anymore. Like I've sold a lot of my stuff that I've accumulated over the years. Like if you look at my old collection videos, like I think at this point there's probably certain shows that I have to be reminded that I actually owned at one point. I was like, I had Vampire Diaries on DVD. Why would I have that on DVD? Anyway, So, but certain shows are worth having on DVD. In this case, I mean, there was nothing else. There was no other way for me to watch it at the moment. But I figured I would buy the DVD, and I would get the extras as well, and then I can watch it as many times as I want. But even shows I like, I'm considering selling on, because you can find them on streaming services and so on. But this one, for me, it was the best way to rewatch it now, and it wasn't terribly expensive either. So that is highly recommended from me. It's too much to get into as to what the show is, but you might know about that already. Here is Nathan for You. No, yeah, that's the first fumble. Here is Laurel and Hardy. This is 9 films. The best of. It's a pretty discreet looking box set. It just says exclusive collection as loved of all. Anyway, the best of 9 DVD box set. It's just presented like this in sleeves. I haven't seen any of these yet, but I was working my way through the the big box set, the white one, the UK one. I don't know who released it exactly, but it has dozens and dozens of their shorts, and I must have bought that around 2019 maybe, and then I just worked through it for a couple of years. I just watched one now and then, and it was nice to be you know, when I didn't know what one I wanted to watch, or if I wanted to watch something familiar, then I would just put on a Laurel and Hardy short. And when they were over, I missed them, so I wanted to continue watching, and so I found this. So I've had this for the last year actually, but I still haven't seen anything. Let's see. I guess I can show a few secondhand finds. So this one, The Pride of Jesse Hallam. I know that years ago I added this to my Amazon wish list because I realized that there was a film with Eli Wallach and Brenda Vaccaro that I had never heard of. So I got to see that, right? Well, most people would probably think of this guy whose name I've never heard of before, right? But I've never been a fan of Johnny Cash. Not that I have anything against his music, but it's just not ever been somebody that I've been a fan of. So for me, the appeal are actually these two names, and then Michael Burnham. I don't know who that is, but I'm sure Johnny Cash is going to be interesting to watch in this as well whenever I get to it. But yeah, that was a secondhand store find, and I've also found a few Indian films at my local secondhand store. Every time I've gone there, they seem to have had a new stock of Indian cinema. Whether they are from Bollywood or not, I couldn't tell you, but I picked up a few that sounded interesting. So this one is called Black. It's in a HD DVD case, but it seems to be a regular DVD, so I haven't tried playing it yet. Fire. Some of these cases are, you know, fairly so they can be quite different in the way that they're presented than what I'm used to. Udon. I really know nothing about this, but I mean, these are usually like $1 each, and I figure out, well, I'm not gonna come across these again in a secondhand store anytime soon. So, Lagan, Once Upon a Time in India. This is really long, I think. Well, I'm pretty sure it's like 4 hours long, unless there's different versions of it. But I can't find it now. Okay, there it is. 215 minutes. So that's the secondhand store purchases. I haven't seen any of those either, I'm afraid. But I have seen much of this, believe me. I think everything else that I have here, that I've put up here on my windowsill, whatever it's called, I have seen most of. I've seen everything except for this is the last one I haven't seen, I think. Long Shot. I don't know. Just struck me as something I would enjoy whenever I'm in the mood for a film like that, which I'm usually not these days, but sometimes. Here is a film that I received last year for my birthday. True Mothers, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Swedish title was the same as the English title. I don't know what the Japanese title means, but there's that title there to the left in the bottom. But it's a film by Naomi Kawase, and she might be the most well known for this film, perhaps. Now let's see, what is that film called in English? Sweet Bean, I think, which I quite like. And I've seen many of her films. A lot of them are quite naturalistic and very, very beautifully shot. This one is more melodramatic, but it has such an important message. It really is quite moving. It is fairly long, maybe a little bit longer than it needs to be, almost 2.5 hours long. But it's a beautiful portrait of parenting about two. It's been a year since I saw this, but it was about two people who couldn't get pregnant. So they decide to adopt, and their whole decision, the whole process of them deciding in the beginning of the film that this is the right decision for us. Like I seem to remember that they really wanted their own kid, but when they realized they couldn't, they had to kind of get used to the idea of adopting, and they had to find the meaning in that. That sounds awful. They had to find find it within themselves somehow to accept that they couldn't have a child of their own, and to to come to the realization and to be reminded of the fact that there's plenty of children who need us, and that was a beautiful little journey that I was taken on. This one I think maybe I also received for my birthday last year. I don't really remember. Master Gardener, or maybe I received it for. I think I got this for Christmas last year. But this is a Paul Schrader film. I don't know if he's made anything after this, but he made another one called The Card Counter before this, and they're quite similar to each other in certain ways. I think I preferred The Card Counter, but this one, you can tell that it's, Paul Schrader has he has pretty unique sensibilities at this point in his career. I haven't seen much of his old stuff, I have to admit. But I love First Reformed. And he's made some interesting choices in his career lately. It seems like, and I am by no means an expert on his filmography, but I think the aesthetic that he has created in this film, and indeed in The Card Counter, is pretty unpredictable. It's almost like trashy on purpose. It has a very unique sensibility. But they're very beautiful at times. This one has a scene. I don't know that I should spoil it, but it was a car driving through the night with like flowers on each side, and it was just such a euphoric scene, and it just was perfectly placed in the film. This one I haven't seen yet because it's so long, but I really want to see this. I've been quite impressed with the very limited number of Georgian films that I've seen. What do we see when we look at the sky? There was a film called The Beginning by Dia Kulumbegashvili. I can spell it, but I'm always spelling was always easier for me than having to pronounce something, so I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but she made a film called Beginning, which I saw a few years ago, and I still think about that sometimes. But this one, 2.5 hours long. I should just get around to watching this. It says it's a Georgia-Germany co-production, but it's in Georgian with English subtitles. So this is a New Wave Films DVD. Looks to be bare bones, but I really like some of the stuff that New Wave has put out over the years. I feel like some of their titles, they don't really get talked about too much. So they're a pretty underrated company. They're not that lavish in their presentation sometimes. Maybe they'll just release like a bare bones DVD, but they will release films that nobody else releases. So I feel like they are a bit underrated in that sense. Here are 2 Chantal Akerman films. Chantal Akerman by Chantal Akerman, and One Day Pina Asked. So this is like a fairly impressionistic kind of collage a collage of impressions, if that doesn't sound too pretentious. I guess just a series of impressions, rather than being a definite documentary about the life and work of Pina Bausch. But yeah, people will definitely know of Wim Wenders' Pina, I don't know, sorry, rather than this one. But I am a fan of Chantal Akerman, so this, I want to see everything she's made, ultimately. And so this was a DVD that was pretty easily available, or pretty easy to get. So Icarus Films, once again, Icarus Films released some really interesting stuff. And they have put out quite a few of Chantal Akerman's films. Sorry, my mouth is kind of dry. I'm trying to work around that. Chantal Akerman by Chantal Akerman is, she was approached to make a film. So she was asked to participate in the Cinema of Our Time series, and she jokingly suggested herself as a subject matter. But all it is she sits down. This is one take, one shot in the beginning of the film, where she reads off a piece of paper for I don't know how long, maybe 15, 20, 25 minutes, I'm not quite sure. And then after that it's a a compilation of scenes from her films, and I was a bit underwhelmed by that, and I sort of expected to be, but I still was curious about what this was. So I have silenced my curiosity. It's not a bad film. It's just kind of bland. It doesn't really have much to offer when compared to her great work that I've come to love over the past few years. This one I bought along with these two from Wow HD. Personal and Political, the films of Natalia Almada. I've actually only seen a couple of these as well. I realized there's more here that I hadn't seen than what I led on in the beginning. But I have seen All Water Has a Perfect Memory, very beautiful, really kind of tactile cinema. Really great actually. Everything else, quite a beautiful but very simple portrait of an older woman who is living a very mundane life, and not much happens really, but it's quite interesting. But I do think that out of the two that I've seen, I prefer this one so far, and there's quite a few more here that I haven't seen, but I'll get to them eventually. Now let me see, where do I want to move on to? Okay, I have a stack here. Now this first one I'm a little bit embarrassed. I won't really be able to talk about this one because I didn't really know what to make of it, so I'll have to return to this at some point. But Hale County this evening. I guess I struggled with his indecisiveness, maybe. The filmmaker here seemed to struggle, for me anyway, to connect the aesthetics with the storytelling. So a lot of the time, I didn't really know what to make of it because he was switching it up so many times and throwing in nice edits and nice shots, and maybe I felt that some of the people who the documentary was maybe supposed to or that maybe I would have liked for the film to focus more on, they were kind of left or put to the wayside. And I just thought that it was so many ideas that were interesting, but on a surface level. Unfortunately, they remained surface level for me. But I was so intrigued with this, like, I'm really kind of bummed out that I didn't like it very much. But I'll come back to it eventually. Maybe I'll change my mind on that one. Lovely Rita, An Artificial Eye DVD, a film by Jessica Hausner. I love Lords, really love Lords, and I really like Amour Fou as well. This one I like, but not quite as much. It looks like an art house, kind of coming of age art house film, lesser seen film. And then when you put it on, when I put it on, but I suspect other people maybe have had a similar experience. It's just very unfortunate the way it looks, like the camera they've used, the film they've used, or the video that they've used. It just looks like an old soap opera or something. It looks very tacky. But I was able to get over that and focus on the storytelling and the character study of this teenage girl. I don't know how old she's supposed to be, but she's going through shit. And I thought it was quite a moving portrait of somebody who's struggling a little bit to figure things out. And the ending was really interesting as well. It's a pretty understated film, but I definitely liked it. Now this one has a couple scenes that are everything but understated, which for me kind of ruined it. And it's such a shame when a film like this one, Hadewijch, Bruno Dumont. I don't know that I've seen a Bruno Dumont film before, but I've heard of many of them over the years, so he always struck me as interesting. And this is maybe the one that it seemed to kind of reflect my sensibilities the most, just by looking at it surface level, just looking at images and the poster and the plot and whatever it may be that you usually look at to try and make up your mind as to whether this is something of interest. Anyway, so unfortunately it didn't really reflect what I thought. Well, the thing is, it started out really moving. I really thought I was going to end up liking this, and then it takes like a turn that to me was so fucking tacky it just kind of ruined the whole experience. You know, it kind of just blackened the whole film somehow. And there's some beautiful stuff in the film. And again, a very, very, I mean, well, they're both, leads. You know, they're both films about young women in formative periods. You know, as they try to figure things out. The acting performance in this one was maybe less impressive, but in this case, the acting performance from her was incredibly impressive, and I don't think she's done much more than this. So it just really saddened me then to realize that I don't like the film very much, because I really like her performance and I want to like the film, but I just don't. Here's a few other ones that he's made, or this one anyway. Yeah, not these two, but this one. Yeah. I don't know if it's unreasonable to let like 5 minutes of a film ruin it for you, but it just sometimes it's just hard if everything is leading up to that moment and it just ruins the flow and the story for you, then it's just hard to appreciate anything else about the film, you know. Anyway, I have a couple films from this director, Hamaguchi. So he's become very much beloved over the past few years, at least. So this one is called Wheel of Fortune and Fantasy, I think, in English. 3 stories, I believe, or was it more than 3? I think it's 3. I can't find. I'm not gonna be able to look for the information fast enough now. I feel like he could have had. I feel like he had 30 stories that he could have told, because these are so specific and they're so, again, I think I've used the word understated already in this video, but I have to use that word again, because they are quite understated and they're very minor. So it's always interesting with stories like that in an anthology film. Like, why did he pick these 3? Because I feel like, I mean, I like them, but I feel like, oh, he could have, he must have had so many ideas somehow, or maybe they're based on something. Well, but I really like the ending of this, and it's a good film. Now this one is more than a good film. Drive My Car. Again, speaking of a film that I will not be able to do justice, I had been wanting to see this one for obviously for a while. I finally got around to it. I think around December, January, around New Year's time. This past New Year, obviously. Hamaguchi's sensibility is not typically something I would fall for. I don't know how to describe it, but it's maybe a little bit more sentimental than I would normally like. But he does them so well. Like Happy Hour, even though I loved it, I was slightly disappointed with it. This one, on the other hand, completely floored me in almost every way. It's a slow film. It's a 3-hour film, but it really needs to be, because he slowly builds up to a conclusion that is so. I mean, you kind of have to pay attention. It's not melodramatic. It's not sentimental in the fact that in the sense that it's melodramatic. It's just I don't know. It's just a style that I sometimes struggle with a little bit. But he manages to really move me, and what he does with the drama when he reaches the conclusion, and when you realize what he's trying to do with the play Uncle Vanya, I think it was. Maybe it doesn't say here, but well, anyway, basically I was really moved by it, and I wish I could say more. I don't know. Just, the car, actually, I'll mention the symbolism of the car. Again, the whole film is leading towards a very discreet ending, like a final shot that just kind of lingers on the car. That's not the conclusion that I was referring to just now, but I mean, there's a few different things that the film leads up to, And one very minor thing is that, you know, we have like a shot of the car just standing there in the snow for a few seconds. And, you know, it's a beautiful shot, and I like looking at that shot. But without the context of everything that has preceded, the shot would be meaningless. But because of what he's done leading up to this shot, like, it reaches, I mean, it gains such importance, the symbolism of the car. Anyway, yeah, really, really, really good. Very moved by that film. I'm looking over at the stuff that I have left now, and I have two hauls. I have one haul from Vinegar Syndrome, some of which I've sold on since then, but I have some left. I have quite a few things left. And then I'm looking at a haul from Revoir, or maybe even a couple hauls from Revoir. And I'm just deciding. I'm thinking to myself that maybe I should end it here, because I don't really want to split those up too much. I'd like to show those in the same video, and I think it's gonna go on for a little bit too long at the moment if I get, you know, if I move on to either of those two hauls. So I'm gonna stop the video here. But I have at least one more video coming then. You can expect that. So yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna turn the phone off. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I'll see you in the next one.